Hello everyone, and welcome to another one of our videos. Please take a deep breath, relax, and enjoy. Today, we're gonna talk about jobs where everyone sleeps with each other.
Movie theaters, especially the ones that serve alcohol. Managers banging servers, servers all banging each other. And one wonderful case of a guy employee doing a lap dance on a middle-aged woman who was there to see Magic Mike. Secure psychiatric facility. Need a lot of staff on at all time, but pretty much all the patients are sedated and locked in their rooms at night. Not much else to do. I used to work in IT for a mental health trust. The secure unit night shift was famous for breaking up marriages. One time, one couple filmed themselves going at it on work equipment and then he shared the video with a friend over the work network. It got forwarded on a lot. We got asked to trace the email chain and it was decided that anyone who received it and then forwarded it on would be fired. Then we figured out that if we enforced that we would have to fire pretty much the entire ward staff. It was decided to just hand out a warning instead. Gaming companies. It's a weird thing where like most people are overworked and don't have social lives as a result. In the end, you end up having your coworkers as your friend circle because that's better than nothing. Before you know it, everybody is effing everybody. There's also the whole drugs are rampant in gaming thing which kind of helps. I don't know if it's still true, but a major company used to have an internal unofficial party room where you went if you needed to load up. A dude was fired from my old company for doing lines in the bathroom. Etc. Professional athletes. The Olympics is full of young people who have dedicated their entire lives to a certain sport. They have sacrificed so much to reach the pinnacle of that sport. All of a sudden they are in a place without much supervision and surrounded by physically fit people who are just as repressed as they are. Of course it's going to 24/7 orgies the whole way through. There are trainers and coaches and staff in the Olympic Village as well, so there's still plenty of supervision. But once an athlete is finished with their events they're suddenly free of most of their obligations with regards to training and fitness. It's like turning in the final essay for your college degree. It's a massive burden lifted from your shoulders and now you want to go have some fun. Actors, actresses and the music industry. My ex is a theater actress. She effed around with so many dudes while being with me that I can't even count. She still calls me at least twice a year to F her, which I always decline. Tried to get with most of my guy friends and even tried to make a move on a 17-year-old boy, which is messed up. My cousin is a famous singer and he quit because he hated the ungodly amount of inbreeding of the music industry, theater and the drama. I never went into music full-time, because I have to vomit if I see some schmuck preach about being a good human while I know for a fact that they pee on teenage girls while their family waits for them at home. If you go in full-time, you'll have to put up with more and more of these kind of butt wipes. Movie theater. One place I worked had a tall ladder to go up to the roof and one of the managers had blankets and pillows where he'd take chicks to F all the time. I was a manager too but I didn't get any butt there. I tried for sure. I did get one girl but that was later after I quit working there. Almost married that chick too. So my friend went to a summer camp once and on the last day the camp counselors asked everyone to close their eyes. They asked all of the kids, all of them in their early teens, to imagine their favorite spot on the camp. They then made the resounding statement that every one of the camp counselors had hooked up there. One of the girls looked up in horror and said the climbing ropes? Apparently all of the counselors just snickered. So apparently that job. The US Capitol, Senate and congressional staffers work long hours. So they spend more time together and have less time to find a maid outside of the office. They are paid low wages, so their social lives are restricted to low-budget activities where they tend to see their co-workers. When I worked there as a 20-something, the hookups were crazy. Restaurants, long hours that extend into the evening, thereby ruining your social life. It's easier to just hook up with a fellow server. Where it happened with me, warehouse. Swing shift, so we didn't see our actual friends and families, plus we worked mandatory overtime almost every week. It doesn't take long before hookups happen. I was 19 and worked with MILFs who wanted to break in younger males. The employee handbook clearly said that co-workers dating was not allowed. It still happened. A couple of times it was in the warehouse. Retail. Mostly young employees in late high school, young high school grad, college students. Young and horny employees who don't want to be there. Got my first BJ in a Hobby Lobby stockroom. Call center. It gets quite late at night. But the phones have to be manned just in case. Boredom sets in. It doesn't take long to figure that your spouse is asleep. So is your coworker's spouse, and you can get out quickly in the parking lot. Insurance companies. Like in other places, young and attractive employees. Plus, lots of trips. Lots of late nights. You're there, flirting with younger co-workers, plus you've become fast friends with these younger women. You're suddenly in a bus altogether, or a van, going 3 states over, and will be there for 3 or 4 nights. It doesn't take long before that trip involves hooking up, fingering on the ride over, slipping away at the event for a quickly. A training session at someone's home becomes one-on-one. Parties involving alcohol goes to hookups. Married? If your spouse isn't there, no one speaks up. A situation made worse when you figure that if you aren't in the insurance company, you're dead to them. So your wife isn't an insurance company and you decide to bone one of the company women? No one is going to say a word. Summer camp. Camp counselors are usually young adults or college students, and usually physically fit because they obviously like outdoor activities. Now put a bunch of them together in the woods for a summer where they get all hot and sweaty together, and intercourse is going to be inevitable. I worked at a Disneyland resort when I was young. It was basically just that. My roommate who also worked there told me about how he saw the 2 Peter Pans getting frisky in the cafeteria. This has been happening since the beginning of Disney. Look up Defunctland, the craziest party Walt Disney ever threw, on YouTube. Even though he had a policy against fraternizing with co-workers, and segregated the men and women, a lot of marriages started there, including the 14-year-old girl who posed for Snow White. Used to work at a Publix when I was in high school. The night shift folks were all effing each other. This one girl was probably in her mid-20s and she came on to me in the back room. She gave me a BJ for maybe 10 seconds before telling me we could finish later. Saw her a week later and she was wearing a ring, as she had just been proposed to. She tried again with me, but it was a hard pass at that point. Also worked in a popular chain restaurant in college. The manager left his pregnant wife to date one of the servers. Another server got caught in the walk-in effing one of the line cooks. Paramedics and emergency department nurses are notorious for being homewreckers, especially with each other. Stick 2 people in a box for 12 hours a day and a connection is bound to develop. Long shifts, isolated with only a small group of people, working odd hours, meaning the only people you know free on your day off is likely your co-workers. Ideal environment for a lot of workplace relationships to grow. I have a friend who worked on a ski resort in Western Canada. Apparently, everyone there is young, hot, and looking for adventure. Half of them are Australians, and for whatever reason Canadians and Australians are weirdly attracted to each other. He had some wild stories. And even, he told us he was downplaying what he said because we wouldn't believe how much effing each other actually went on. I work currently for a specialty medically supply company, prosthetics/orthotics, and literally just a few days ago walked into the bathroom and heard 2 gentlemen having personal relations. I work overnights and weird things happen at weird hours, but that was different. Can't say I've ever run into that before. In her early 20s, my wife was assistant manager of a restaurant that specializes in noodles, and was also in a town that had a strangely high number of gay people. Seriously, when we first met, we were walking through the grocery store and I got to meet almost half a dozen of my wife's exes, now friends, just randomly. My wife tells me everyone was hooking up during their shifts, after, before, during the holiday parties. Crazy. I work in fast food. There's about 45 employees. There's at least 4 couples. A good third of my coworkers like another coworker, but that coworker doesn't know. I'm one of the only people at work that people will come to, so I know who everyone likes. I've already messed up and accidentally told people if someone likes them. Everyone's getting specific, but the truth is literally any job with a reasonable balance of people who would F each other. 50-50 hetero men, hetero women? Loads of effin', similar split of gay people? Lots of effin'. Basically one half your staff want to F and half want to be F'd, they'll be effin'. I was a corrections officer for a while. There was a lot of scrogging going on at that prison. I worked as a corrections officer for a few years when I was younger. One major thing about working in a prison is that it's very important not to become too familiar with inmates. Sometimes that's easier said than done because, surprise, inmates are people too, guys. Anyway, One of the lieutenants there was married to a female officer. Because of the conflict of interest, they had to work separate shifts. The wife was on night shift for a long time, and eventually it came out that she'd been having a long-time affair with an inmate and got pregnant. They both resigned, and I didn't hear much about the marriage after that. To make things worse, the dorm this happened in was a mental health dorm, and the inmate was nasty. Like, refused to bathe, nasty. Also, the dude was fugly. Preemptive response to a future question: I don't feel particularly bad about saying this about the inmate. Mental health status notwithstanding, the guy was an absolute douchebag and deserved to be locked up. Call centers. Every call center can have anywhere from 100 to 2,000 employees, all from the ages of 18 to 75. I have worked in four myself. It's a high school for adults. I remember new batches of trainees being referred to as fresh meat. There was a guy we referred to as the welcoming committee because he'd always managed to score with one of the newbies. Dude looked like nothing too. We never figured out his trick. When I worked as a telemarketer in a smaller call center, about 50 people, my junior and senior years in high school, 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. daily. The employees during that shift were about 80% teenagers and 20% adults, with about 50% longer-term employees, and the remaining 50% were revolving door. There was a lot of effing going on, and it sometimes got on the edge of legality, age-wise. But yeah, everyone that wasn't single was just passing each other around. I got a significant portion of my experience at that job.
Congratulations, you've made it to the end. We want to thank you again for giving us a few minutes of your time, and we wish you have a great rest of your day, night, or whenever you're watching this. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to subscribe. It really does help us a lot. That's it from me. Roll the outro.